Who is ready to have some fun? Today, we are joined by the one, the kind of only Ben Thornburg, who is going to be showing us how you guys are able to make magic of your own. Okay. So you can always build out your own communications through the system. You can send your own communications with the system, especially if you're somebody who really just feels like that is your mission. We want to make sure that you have all of the ability to do so. It is also insanely, insanely important if you're going to build your own automations that you pay very close attention to all the things that are going to happen today. So you don't send us notes that say, why did this happen? And we say, because that happens when you build an automation. And you're like, I don't like you. And I'm like, nah, same some days. So what we want to do is make sure you have all those tools, that you're super ready to be able to do these things. And honestly, just give it up for Drew's hat in this meeting. Okay. What's up, Drew? That's right. Props to the hat, my friend. Props to the hat. I'm going to shut up because I don't know how to build automations. And honestly, I probably need a nap. But Ben is going to walk us through finer points of Aidium and how to do things. Do you want to be on mic, or are you just going to use this mic?
We can just use that mic.
Fantastic.
Unless somebody says the sound quality is terrible.
Well, I think that's basically just, they're just going to complain about that. Steve Burke's on the call. He's like, look, the sound quality is garbage. Okay, so I'm going to just turn this off and get to work, people.
All right, so many of you may already know how to do some of these things, but I'm going to start incredibly basic and kind of work my way up from there. So right off the bat, we'll jump into the automation section right here. So over in the menu group on the left-hand side, when you click on that, you will see a myriad automations that will already be in here. These, for the most part, are going to be automations that were added by the Automator team. And each of these automations handle not only your drip marketing or your nurture campaigns, but also your IPW or in-process workflow, also triggered by loan milestones that come from Encompass. For the most part, if any of these, please just don't click on them. Don't open them. Don't try to edit them. They are built and designed specifically for Neo and also professionally edited and everything. So if you open these, you can break them. Just don't bother opening them. If you have any questions on how these work, you can go to support@matrixtechstack.com, and there is a video or article on every single one of these that will walk you through what goes out, when, what the timing is, what the links are back to your website. Kelly and Megan do a fantastic job of explaining how all of these work. Now, what we're going to do first is we're just going to create a little mini campaign that is designed to manually assign. So I'm going to start by clicking Create Automation right there. And if you have any questions in the meantime, just throw them in the chat window. If it's something that is specific to what I'm talking about, Megan will jump in and read me the question. Otherwise, we'll take any of the questions at the end. And if Megan can answer it in the meantime, she'll just throw it back in the chat at you. So I clicked on New or Add Automation at the top right-hand side of the screen, and this is what you will see. First thing I always like to do before I do anything is click right here on Untitled Automation because I want to give it a name. So I'm just going to create a little basic campaign called New Lead, and then I'm going to click Save. Now it's going to check to make sure that name doesn't already exist because it's not going to let you name two automations the same thing. And the next thing I want to do is choose, is this going to be a contact-based automation or a transaction loan-based automation? For the most part, we're going to stick with contact-based, and we can go into transaction-based on another call. So I'll just click Continue. And this is what you see next. Right here are the entry conditions. This is what you can add to automatically assign a campaign. And we're going to go into that after we create this one. If you leave this blank, it will not automatically assign to any contact in your database. In fact, for most of you, you probably don't want things to automatically assign. So this is a great one for building out a simple automation for your team to manage, maybe a new lead like we're doing here to assign tasks to specific people or yourselves, a quick introduction email to your team, things like that. Beneath that is automation behavior. This is where you can make it so it'll stop if anybody ever replies to one of the emails. This can come in handy if you have like an introduction campaign, or, hey, I really want you to fill out this application campaign. If they reply to any of the emails or text messages, it'll automatically unassign this automation. And then below that is going to be enroll existing records. This can come in handy when you want to send out like a newsletter or an invite to an event. And that's what we'll show you here in a little bit. And then do not enroll after. That's going to help with that, basically the same thing. And we use this one a lot, like when we send out your weekly realtor review every Friday, we have this do not enroll records after to say, okay, well, if somebody fits that criteria on Saturday, don't do it, because that email was designed for Friday. Below that is actions. This is where all the magic happens, if you will. And first thing we're going to do is just go ahead and click on add action. Now, my preference, and I always suggest folks do this, the very first thing you want to do is set a delay by period. A delay by period is just a timed delay. In my case, I usually just give it like 1 minute. I just want a placeholder just in case I ever want to add a delay later. It exists, because once you have one action, you can't add an action at the beginning. It's kind of a little bit of a flaw, but this takes care of that by always adding a delay first. Now we're just going to click the plus button again, and now we're going to add another action. Now, since I had a delay right there, I can't add a second delay. All these are grayed out, but I want to add a communication. Maybe the first thing I want to do is send a quick email. Now, when you click on this, now there's some great trainings on using the email editor, but I want to go through it as well on here. So it's going to start right out by default by sending from the contact owner. Now, chances are the majority of you are the only user in your team, so this is probably where you'll want it to stay. But you can also change it to contact assignee, which can come in handy when you have multiple people working on your team, where one person can be the contact owner, but maybe you have an assistant who becomes the contact assignee that you want communications to come from. You can do that. And then you can also pick a specific user on your team as well. So I'm going to leave it as contact owner, and I want it to go to the client. The client isn't necessarily poorly worded. It's not necessarily a lead or somebody you've done business before. This is the person this automation is assigned to. So no matter if it's a real estate agent, a referral partner, an attorney, a closed borrower, or a new lead, client is what you will want to leave it on if you want it to go to the person who you're assigning the campaign to. And then we'll just give it a subject. I have some previous subjects I have right here. So I'm going to add that. You can add an emoji within the subject. In fact, we add an emoji in every subject of almost every email that we have already in your system. You can also use merge fields within the subject as well. And in this case, contact first name. So it'll reference the person that's receiving the email in the subject. And I have, I think, a text document right here. And this is what I am going to use in this email. So I just copied that, and I'm going to paste it in here. And we're going to do a little bit of formatting and adding a merge field. So you'll see that email signature merge field is already on the email when you start it. So I'm going to just quickly add some returns right there to space it out the way I want it. And I want to add their first name there. So I have a few different options. The easiest way to do it is just give it an @ symbol. If you give it an @ symbol, it will show you all of the merge fields that are available. And since we're sending this to a contact, we're going to choose contact first name, just like that. Then I'm going to pay attention right here because it added a little bit of a space. So I'm going to remove that space. You should never have any white space behind the yellow of a merge field, unless you really want space there. And then I'm also going to add a picture. So I'm give it a little bit of space there before the email signature. I'm going to click right here on the image button, and I'm going to select a file. I'll choose this one right here. And so it uploads it onto the Aidium servers, and there is my little animated GIF right there. And then once I'm happy with this, I just click apply. And now you'll see right here, I have the email. You can preview the subject, who it's from, who it's to, and then it gives you a little bit of a preview of the email text itself. The next thing I want to do is go ahead and click the plus sign, and I'm going to add another delay, and we'll just make it 60 minutes. And then I'm going to click the plus sign again. And now maybe I want to create a task right here toward the bottom. And it's just like if you're creating a task directly within a contact record, same thing. Just give it a status, to do, give it a subject, all about application. You can choose the task type. I'm just going to choose other. And then you can also assign it to a user. You can choose anyone that may be on your team, or you can simply say contact owner, or even contact assignee. Now, contact assignee is automatically added as the contact owner when you create a contact. So even if you choose contact assignee, if it has not been updated to somebody else, it'll just assign to you. And I'm going to give it a little bit of a description. In this case, I'm just going to tell the system to add where this task came from. That way you always know exactly why that task exists. And I'll click apply. And from here, if I really wanted to, maybe I'm going to give it one more delay. And in my case, I'm going to add 2 days. Click apply. And now I want to actually update the contact status. So maybe I don't want to consider this person a new lead anymore because a few days have passed by. I've talked to them. I'm going to choose the target, which is client, which is really the contact. And then I'm going to change the status to, let's just say, prospect. And then I'll apply that. So now let me review this, and then I'll show you how to turn it on. The very first thing we're doing is we're waiting 1 minute. Then we're going to send out that email from me, the contact owner, to the contact or client. We're going to wait 60 minutes. It's going to create a task assigned to the contact owner. Then it's going to wait 2 days, and then it's going to update the status of the client or contact to prospect. And so I want to make sure I click the save button. In fact, it's probably better if you save a little more often than I just did. It's not a bad idea after every few actions. Just go ahead and click save. That way you don't ever lose your work in case something happens. And then from there, I'm just going to turn this on because I don't have any entry conditions, so I don't have to worry about this automatically assigning. And in fact, this is a great way to double check. Right here, it will give you a total of the contacts that are eligible for this. And since it's 0, I don't have to worry about anything. I'm going to turn it on. I'm going to wait just a few seconds till I get this confirmation that it was successfully enabled. And now, if I go back, let me find a contact. Find Kenny Smalls here. There we go. She's running a little slow right now. But if I click on add to automation, whenever we get to the network, come on in.
She doesn't like you.
Doesn't like me today.
Mm-mm.
There we go. There's that new lead campaign that I just created. So all I have to do is click on it, click OK, and it will assign the campaign or automation. give me that confirmation. And now if I click on active right here, you'll see that campaign assigned. If I want to unassign it, all I have to do is click that little X right there and it will unassign. Now, if you recall, the first step was wait 1 minute. So an email won't send out for probably another 45 seconds or so. Do we have any questions before I go on to, all right. So the next thing I'm going to do is create another automation, but this time we're going to send an automation automatically to a group of contacts. And in this case, we want to really just send an invite to an event.
We did just get one.
Okay.
Why would you create a task in an automation?
Well, it's really kind of personal preference. In this case, my automation was a new lead automation. So I had a contact come in, I assigned this automation to give maybe an introduction to my team, but then I want to make sure someone, myself or someone else on my team, follows up with that contact to make sure they follow the steps that I wanted them to follow.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to create a new automation. And then right here, I'm going to give it a name. Always going to be my first step, so I always know exactly why this automation exists. So I'll give it a name. It's going to verify that name doesn't already exist. And once we're good, we'll just click Save Change. And again, we're going to choose a contact-based automation and then click Continue. So from here, I could add my entry conditions right now, but first we'll just add a quick couple of actions. First thing I want to do is click that Add Actions button. And in this case, I actually want to send this email out on Saturday. So I'm going to choose Delay Until Date. Now click right there in the date field, and I'm just going to choose Saturday. And let's say I want to send it out at 1 p.m. my time. It's always going to choose the time zone that your team is in. And so now you'll see that delay until the 21st at 1 p.m. The next thing I want to do is go ahead and send an email. And I'm just going to go ahead and copy that same email that I had just a moment ago. Right there. And I'll paste it in. So we're basically going to do some of the same things, but this time I'm actually going to add a link within here. But before I do that, let's go ahead and give it a subject. I'm just going to choose something I already had filled out. And we'll just go down the list. Very first thing, as you may recall, use the @ symbol to find the merge fields. And again, I'm sending this to the contact that it's assigned to. So I want to choose contact first name. And I'll remove that extra space right there. And this time, we are going to add a link to this text right here. So I have followed this link to go somewhere nice. So I'm going to highlight this link. And then I'm going to choose the little link icon right there. And then I can just paste in my event link, whether it's Eventbrite or if you have a Calendly link that you can provide. In this case, I'm just going to put Google. And then you click Save, and now you have an embedded link within there. And again, if you wanted to add an image, just click there, select File, and I'll just add the same one. And there you have an image. And you can, at any point, go in, adjust where any of this is. In fact, if you wanted to, you can so check out my website here. And then maybe I want to add a link to my website. So I use that @ symbol. And rather than search through all of these, I can actually just start typing. And I typed web, and there's user website link. So that's all you would have to do to add a link directly to your website. And once I'm happy with everything, all I have to do is click apply. Before that, if there's any formatting that you want to do, you can also do that right up here in the little bar. have all these different icons that you're used to seeing in any sort of text editor. You'll be able to change the color of the text. You can highlight text. You can change the justification. And then once you're happy, just click apply.
Can a video be added?
In fact, for the most part, there's no email client that really plays videos. However, if you do have something like a BombBomb account or other video services, Vidyard, you can, from within their interface, they will allow you to copy embed code, and then you can paste that into the HTML of the email. In fact, there's a great article at Aidium in their support center. And I think and Megan copied it over to Matrix support as well. So the last thing I wanted to do is also add a tag. So in this case, I just click on add tag, and I can search through all the tags that I have, or I can just start typing. This isn't the best example, but I'm just going to give it a first-time home buyer tag. And so now I have my actions, a delay that waits until Saturday at 1 p.m., send this invite email, and then once that email is sent, it's going to apply a new tag. Now, if I wanted to have a specific tag for this event, which is probably a great idea when you do these sorts of things, or create groups of event type tags. So if there's a group that you want to invite to every event you have, go ahead and create a tag for that in your team settings. And we can show that a little bit later. So the next thing I want to do is, well, save. Save and save often. What I want to do is add some entry conditions, because I want to automatically assign this to a group of contacts. And in this case, I'm going to search for anyone that is on the Realtor newsletter. So first we click on set condition, and under field, we're going to choose what data we're looking for. In our case, we're looking for tags. Now, condition operator becomes important when you get a little bit more complex, but in our case, the vast majority of the time, we're really just looking for contains. And within contains, we're just looking for a single tag. And I'm just going to search for Realtor newsletter, and there it is. So now we're just saying, this is my entry conditions. If there's a tag that contains Realtor newsletter on a contact, it will automatically enroll these contacts based on what we choose down here. Now, this is where it becomes incredibly important to pay very close attention, because we're going to click this enroll existing records in just a moment. But before we do that, we want to make sure that we don't have a number that's 500 or 1,000 or 2,000 or 5,000, because this is going to automatically assign to every one of those contacts if we click this button right here to enroll existing records. So in my case, I'm okay with that number that is 8, and I'm going to check that box that says enroll existing records. Now, I'm pretty satisfied with this entire automation, so I'm going to save it again. And in just a moment, once I get that confirmation, I'm going to click to turn it on. And now that it's on in the background on the servers, it will begin within a few moments assigning this automation to 8 different contacts. And all of the contacts that it's assigning it to have the tag Realtor newsletter. Now, these types of automations, when you auto-enroll people, it's not something that will happen with the snap of a finger. It may take a few minutes for that to start assigning, because it happens on the server side of everything, but it will begin assigning pretty quickly. And as long as the number is under 100, it will happen probably within 5 to 10 minutes to all of them. Now, I did mention just a moment ago adding a tag. So I clicked on team settings right there. And this is an incredibly handy place to keep track of what you have available right here in tags. Now, tags are used to tell the story of the contact. So status is where this contact is right now. A tag is as many as you want can be added to a contact. So you can say, this is a real estate agent. This is a friend. This is a referral partner. This is a invite to big events. This is, whatever it may be. You can add as many as you want. You can, any of them that do exist, for the most part, you can edit them just like that. So if you have a tag maybe that came in from an import that was super long, you can always edit the tag and shorten it a little bit. Just like that. And if you want to create a new tag, just click Add New Tag at the top right and just start typing. So I have big event list, and it's going to verify this tag doesn't already exist. And then I just click Create. I get the confirmation, and now I have that tag in my list of tags. And the same thing goes with statuses. If you want to add a new custom status, just click on contact statuses, click Add New Status, and maybe you have your own workflows and things that you want to use to manage your leads that come in. Just like we built that new lead automation, you can also create your own statuses to keep track of how you have already communicated with them. And then you can even use those automations to automatically advance those statuses as those events happen. So all you would need to do is just like before, just like the tags, just start typing. So let's say waiting for app. Going to verify it doesn't already exist. And then once you're good, this will turn that bright yellow or the darker yellow. Just click create. And there we go. Now we have another status. And with that new status, I can go into my automations. And I'm going to go back into this new lead automation right here. So I also wanted to show you how to edit one. So right here at the bottom, once an automation is enabled, right here, you see the on, you cannot edit the automation until you click right here. And once you click on edit automation, then you can go ahead and go through, and maybe in this step right here, rather than making them a prospect, I actually wanted to make them, what did I just make that? Do you remember what I just made that status?
Prospect.
Let's say we do remember. We were definitely paying attention. I don't want you to think we weren't paying attention.
You two were laughing. I saw you.
Well, yeah, a little bit.
But anyway, if you wanted to do that, you just go ahead and change whatever that preferred status would be. Click apply, and then choose save.
Thank you, Drew. I was waiting on that.
Waiting on it. Okay. Thanks, Drew.
Thank God Drew's listening to you. Like at least you have one friend in the room. I get it.
No, but
We have some questions.
If you want to show how to cancel, like, I mean, I guess delete an automation, or turn it off, and then can they unsubscribe or subscribe to these campaigns? Like, can I contact?
Well, go ahead. I'm so sorry. I'm just gonna be quiet.
So a contact themselves, the human being that is the contact, can't necessarily subscribe to one. However, with the entrance conditions, you can update a contact and have them automatically be assigned to an automation. That's where the entry conditions becomes incredibly important, to really have those set exactly the way they should be, to keep contacts you don't want to be assigned to the automation from maybe accidentally being assigned. So anytime you have entry conditions, there is the potential that this will be automatically assigned to a contact. Before I go into how to unassign, I wanted to show you exit conditions. Just like entrance conditions, an exit condition uses the same type of
Logic.
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome. See, I finally got to say something.
You finished my sentence.
You complete me.
So just like the entrance conditions, you choose set, and then we can say, okay, well, maybe if a contact status is, let's say, in process. I don't have in process in this
It's right there.
group. Do I? Oh, there it is. Thank you. Click OK. So as a loan moves through through the milestones. Once a loan goes sent to processing in Encompass, it will be passed over to Aidium, of course, and we actually have an automation that will automatically update the contact status of the borrower and co-borrower to in process. So if you ever build any sort of new lead campaign or just a lead follow-up campaign, if they have a loan in the system and it goes sent to processing, that contact will automatically be updated to in process. So this is a fantastic exit condition for any sort of nurture campaign based on getting somebody to do a loan with you. So it's a great one to add to just about any contact-based automation. So I'll go ahead and save that real quick, and then we'll show how to unassign, again, a automation. So I'm going to find that contact that I was in just a bit ago. I don't even remember who it was. We'll go to Billy. So let's see if Billy's on an automation. And he's not. So let's go ahead and add him to an automation. We'll show how to unassign that automation again. We'll give him the change of life campaign. And so anytime you have a contact on an automation, you'll see it right here under contact based, change of life campaign. If you do want to remove it, all you have to do is click this little X right here. It'll ask you to confirm, and then you just confirm, and this will unassign from the contact.
Does that take care of Linda's cancel and automation that we create?
There was
no?
another one for how to delete
Yes.
an automation.
And so if she had asked, how do you cancel an automation that they create?
Yeah, so at any point, if you have an automation that you just do not want to run anymore for anyone, all you have to do is go to automations, find that automation, and just click this little button, and that will turn it off.
How do we run a report to see what automations or campaigns contacts are assigned to?
You don't.
You don't. Sorry, Drew. That's
So,
coming.
Yes, it's coming. That's that from an administrative side, I can tell you that's probably one of the biggest hurdles for Megan and I. However, just like in the, was it the event campaign? Which one did we add a tag? Yeah. So adding a tag is a great way of being able to tell with a quick filter from the contacts section whether an automation was assigned, whether a specific automation was assigned or a group of automations was assigned to folks. So that's actually one that I use as kind of a workaround for that sort of thing, to see how many contacts were assigned to an automation.
And last question is, how do we mass add contacts to an automation?
So we can do it a few different ways, just like with the event right here, where I added the entry conditions and we saw how many contacts would be assigned. And then I checked this enroll existing records. That's one way to do it. That's probably my preference on doing it. However, if you are in your contacts right here, let's go ahead and use the filter, because we're not interested in assigning every one of my contacts to something. And let's say we're looking for anyone with a status of new lead. There's a little bit of a kind of a little bit of safety built in here. Now, some folks might find it annoying, but it's kind of there for a good reason. But the maximum number of contacts you can assign an automation to at any one time using this method is 100 contacts. If you're ever in a position of assigning more than 100 contacts to an automation, there's a pretty high chance that you may not want to do so. In fact, I've very few times have I been convinced that anyone should be assigning more than 100 contacts to a single automation at one time.
100% true.
So once you have the contacts that you want assigned to this automation, in my case, I just have the one. I'm going to click add to automation. And now this will give you every contact-based automation that's in your team. And so let's just say I want to search for new. We'll find that new lead follow-up. maybe that's what I wanted to assign to them, and I'd click OK. But I cannot state enough times how cautious you should be about automatically assigning automations to people using either this method or the method we talked about for an event type of automation where you use entry conditions. Because if this number says 5008, it will assign to 5008 if you have this checked. Additionally, another big caution when you use actions, email is one thing. If you wanted to add a text message or SMS, you can do that through an automation. However, if you send 1,000 text messages out in a single automation, you may well get Neo as a whole in trouble. And if you get in trouble, if you get Neo as a whole in trouble, then the carriers can actually block every phone number set up through Neo. Yes, Megan.
If you want to send to everyone in your database, are you saying we don't create an automation?
No.
I can't, well, first of all, I think it's really important for everyone to understand that there'd be almost no situation in which you would email your entire database. I'm not really sure. I mean, look, your database is yours to deal with. We just happen to have 10 years of experience of running them in a relational way. There is almost nothing that you could have to tell your entire database apart from I'm moving to a different company. Everything that you do should be data driven. It should be like, who is this segmented audience and how should I reach out to this segmented audience in the most personalized ways I possibly can? So if you're ever emailing your whole database, it basically is the opposite of what we would want you to truly do with this system. But if you want to email everyone in your entire database, you would still create an automation, would you not?
Yes.
Yes. So just be really careful because unsubscribe is a real tricky thing when we start adding data to this entire thing. So just really super smart things to think about.
Well, and it's also important to know that for the vast majority of you, as part of the onboarding process, we helped import your spreadsheets from your other CRMs. And whilst doing so, we also helped you automatically tag your real estate agents with a realtor newsletter and your closed borrowers with the consumer newsletter. So you're already communicating with all of those real estate agents and all of those closed borrowers on a monthly basis with a fantastic newsletter, which actually goes out.
But they are personalized.
Yes.
Like the consumer newsletter is only for your closed borrowers. So even when we do the monthly newsletters, it's not going to your entire database. The realtor newsletter is only going to your realtors. And the monthly consumer newsletter is only going to your closed borrowers. So, and they're two different communications. They're not one mass email. So that is a little bit different. Nikki said holiday invites that are sent to the whole database.
So again, I'm going to say this and you guys can choose to listen to my expertise in this or not. There's almost no situation where you're going to invite an entire database to something. Or if you're going to send like a holiday card, keep in mind that like the rule of thumb when you're really doing relational marketing is this. If you went we used to call it the Golden Girls rule. If you're an old person, here comes a good joke for you. The lyrics of that song are, if you threw a party and invited everyone you knew, if you invite everyone you know to your house, how many of those people have no idea who you are? Okay, because if you're doing relational marketing, if you're just doing pray and spray, then you can send an email to your entire database. But what we try to hopefully get you to understand is how important personalization is, how important the right audience is at the right time. And so I want to answer like a couple of things because it comes down to sort of the theory of using the system a lot. Gabe just asked, how often are realtor newsletters going out? The realtor newsletter goes out every single month. It's actually going out this weekend. So you will definitely see who that is. The weekly marketing content from Neo, I assume that you mean the Monday blog from Neo. When you have that monthly blog from Neo, it's already on your website. Should you choose to send that entire thing out to someone, all you have to do is drop a link. What I would highly suggest doing instead of that is just putting that in your social media. Because the thing about this is, and I hope you guys take this with a grain of salt. I don't want Nordstrom to send me a 40% off like shoe ad. Think about how many people really need to understand that rates are high and inventory is low. Like, just so be mindful of the messaging that you're sending and the audience that you're sending it to. Sometimes they're really good for financial advisors. Sometimes they're really meant for an audience that has the liquidity to actually purchase multiple Airbnb things. So it's important to know sort of how these things go. But it is going out on your newsletter goes out every month, and it encapsulates for the real estate agents all of the business building practices that you put into place in those weekly emails for just that specific audience who you send the weekly realtor review to. And then we basically put all that together and make it a little bit more topical for that newsletter to go out. I think that any realtor can be on the realtor newsletter. That's no issue at all. But just in general, please just remember that the more you are in the face of someone when they're not looking for you to send them information, the less attention they're going to pay when it's really important to be sending them information. So I just think that's such an incredibly important thing for you guys to think about. Nicola, so what message do you send out for your invites to your database for a client appreciation event? Super good question. So Nicole, great way to ask that question, right? So let's say you're going to rent out a theater and you're going to show Polar Express to anyone who's closed a loan with you in the past 3 years, and you're going to invite them and their family. Well, that is a very specific list of human beings. Now, let's say you want to advance that to, I'm going to get everybody who's closed and anybody who I pre-approved for a loan. Okay, that actually technically is a report you'd probably want to pull in Encompass more than anywhere else. And then kind of cross-reference that into your database and just say to yourself, how many people? Well, first of all, there's 500 seats available. Okay, so there's 500 seats available. We know that we can't send it to 6,000 people. So it depends on who your audience is. Are you having realtors come or no? Are you having clients come? No. If it's a client appreciation event, those people should literally be people who close loans with you. So I would just figure out that group and send it specifically to that group, and also have your messaging say something like, I so appreciate the opportunity to have worked with you in the last 3 years. I hope that you're enjoying your new home. I wanted to do something really special. I hope that you'll come to this event. There you go. Instead of it just being like, Sally loan officer is sending this to anyone she's spoken with in the past 5 years, who may or may not know who that is. And then you just have to think about email deliverability rates and how many, like, at the end of the day, the more concentrated you can create that address list, the better off it's going to be. Drew asks, how do we cross-reference report from Encompass to Aidium? Oh, Drew's asking all the important questions. Drew, not only are you handsome in that hat, but I feel like you understand the level of frustration that the people who are running this matrix are feeling. I have seen the reporting that is coming. Believe me when I tell you that probably by the end of November, you're going to be a way happier camper. It's just, yes.
Well, I can answer that specific question.
Oh, excuse me. I'm sorry, Drew. Ben just mansplained to me that he has the answer. So go ahead, mansplainer. You're welcome, Ben.
So if I talk, does that mean I'm admitting guilt?
I mean, I feel like all women believe that. Yeah, that's just if you're a man and you're talking, it's mansplaining now. Go ahead.
So probably the best way here. Let me share my screen again. All right, can you see it?
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful. So if you go into, so first, once you have an export from Encompass, and if this is the method that you want to use to really hone in on something, if it's data that just isn't in Aidium, which there's a lot of data that isn't going to be in Aidium, not only because it's a newer product that many of you just signed up for or have only been in for a few months, but also, there's just some data that was never given from Encompass to any CRM. It can happen. Not everything is there for every single person. Sometimes you do just need to export out of Encompass. All you really need to make sure you get is their first name, last name, cell phone number is preferred, and then also their main email address. Try to avoid their work email address when you're doing an import, and just take that spreadsheet, and all you have to do is add a tag, add a column for tag. and then give that column a tag in every single one of those fields. And what that'll give you the ability to do is go to the contact section. I'm going to clear this filter and click right here and choose upload CSV. Once you do that, by default, it's going to show your name, who you're uploading on behalf of. And in my case, I want to be the contact owner, so I'm going to leave that as me. I choose select. And this will give me the opportunity to upload a CSV. When you upload that CSV, you'll then you're not necessarily going to be importing new contacts because most of them are probably already in your database, right? But what we're doing is actually appending the contact. So it's going to look for every contact in your spreadsheet. If they don't exist, it'll create it. If it does exist, it will update it. And the update we're concentrating on is that column for tags. So we just are adding a new tag to each of those contacts. Once you do that, then you have your list of maybe 120 folks that you've pre-approved over the last 3 years, whatever that, whatever your criteria is that you exported. And then once they have the tag, you can use that as your trigger conditions on any automation. Or you can simply use a filter and filter for that tag that you just added, whatever it might be. Maybe it's divorce attorneys. I probably don't have any of those, but then
You're going to need one soon. I'm just kidding.
Select those.
You're welcome. Sorry, Ben.
and then batch assign them to that automation.
Fair statement. Even Mark gave you a wunderbar or a wunderbar, depending on how you pronounce it. Drew asked, it's $1 a question, man. Venmo it over. Is there a way to export all contacts so you get the headers right?
You want to wait out of Aidium?
Yes.
Yeah, out of Aidium. So basically, just so that you're uploading the right info and the right headers.
So here's the cool thing. So to answer your question about if you ever need all your contacts exported out, Aidium support will gladly get you a full export. If you just want to export specifically to get the column names, first thing I'm going to do is go to manage columns, and I'm going to make sure every one of these is turned on. That will show every one of the available columns right here. And then all I have to do is do a quick export, which I'm just going to select everybody that's on this page right here. And I'm going to do export CSV. Simple as that. And it's going to email you, whomever you are logged in as, a link to download that CSV. Now, that CSV is not going to be every single one of your contacts. It's going to be the ones that are displayed on this page. But that will give you an accurate representation of all of the column names. However, the really cool part about the importing functionality is that you can easily map between whatever field name you have. You can have, first name, last name, and maybe instead of status, you have another word. You could have what this guy means to me. And then you just say, well, what this guy means to me actually is status. You can choose those as you do your importing, which Megan actually has created a fantastic article on doing import. Did you? Yeah.
Good job, Megan.
I said that you gave me
good job.
I was like, uh-oh.
Good job, Megan. Okay, are we out of questions?
Yes.
Or you go ahead. I'm so sorry. Well, listen, I just want to spend 1 second to say the following special thing. This is Ben's last training. It shouldn't even be a training. This is actually not Ben's job in the slightest. But Ben has been beyond any level of incredible support and care for us at NEO for the last 10 months. So we're just really grateful for Ben, for all he's done, for him running so many trainings for us, for really being such a good, like a master of the system for us. And so I just wanted to say thanks to Ben, and Megan's doing tiny claps. But if you guys need any help in doing this kind of stuff, I just want you, first of all, Eddie just called Ben the real MVP. What about me? Oh, no, he doesn't want to say I'm the MVP. Ben has been a tremendous assword. Ben has been a tremendous asshole to us. Okay. But anyways, just thank you, Ben, for doing this last training with us. Everybody, there are just hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and billions of hours of Ben training, me training, everybody training in the Help Center. So don't think that just because you came to a like a live training here doesn't mean you can't actually take this at your own pace. And we actually had this exact same training already in the Help Center, but we'll update it with this one. And just know that like we have so much that you can learn and do on your own, but our team is always here. Support at matrixtechstack.com. And except for Drew, I'm sorry, I just wanted to make sure that Drew knew that that is not for him. That's for everyone except for Drew. But we really appreciate you guys. We appreciate you taking some time to learn this today. Hopefully you had a little bit of fun and learned a bunch of stuff. And hopefully you don't send an email to 10 bazillion people. And we will show you kind of the future, why it was imperative that this database is kept as happy and curated as humanly possible, because the magic comes next when the data is applied to all this. So really appreciate everybody, and we will talk to you soon.